here at Katie's Mission event for our mental health summit and really stepped out again to close the gap from where you are and where you want to be. So my name is Kim Ward. I'm the founder and the CEO of Katie's Mission. And tonight I'm bringing you a very, very special interview. And the reason why we're doing this is because the story that we're going to share with you tonight, I'm calling Tragedy to Triumph. And our goal is to provide you with a very real, very raw testimony of real life and how we all, being human beings, are 100% going to be hit with challenges. We're going to be hit with adversity, and it's how we deal with those to either crumble or rise above and use those stories and those moments to inspire and empower other people. So I have Frankie Gauthier with me, who not only is my little brother, but he is also Katie's older brother. This is why we do this. We want to share our vulnerability so that other people who are going through challenges and adversity don't get to a point where suicide is an option. And the reason why I pulled you out, and I'm glad you raised your hand and said I'm willing to, is because you really do have a story that not many people on this earth have. And it's our tribe here, our Katie's Mission audience. They know that we lost our sister and that we lost our mom. But how many other people can say my only other sister also attempted suicide and was 5 minutes from death? So your first interaction with suicide was me. I was 16 years old. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you?
It was a rush. I mean, I was young. I think you were 15. And I don't know, it just happened so fast. It was surreal, you know? And then, you know, you were crying out for help and we didn't notice it at the time. Back at it now. Go ahead. I mean, looking back now, I think you might have been like acting out.
You think?
You know, big time. Yeah.
They know my story. I'm an open book for this audience. They know my story. So do you believe that suicide is preventable?
I think it is.
A statistic and scientific data shows that suicide is preventable. So at the time where I was 16 and you were 15 and I literally almost killed myself, you know, looking back at hindsight, you're able to recognize those ways of acting out, whether it's sexual promiscuity, if it's drugs. Yeah, I used to, plastic dresses. I mean, always looking for attention. And I don't want to bash mom. You know, I know that there's still some emotions going on with her death and whatnot, but our childhood wasn't the greatest, right? So from your perspective, sum up your childhood, our childhood.
It was a roller coaster. I don't know. We, our parents split up. We were young. And I think mom did the best job she could raising us, the cards that she was dealt in her life, you know, because she didn't have an easy life. You know, she came into this earth struggling at two weeks old. You know, her parents abandoned her, but, you know, she never abandoned us, ever. No matter how hard she had it, it didn't matter. She made sure that we had clothes on our back and food in our mouth.
Mom didn't start off with an easy life.
No.
She was abandoned at a racetrack when she was a couple weeks old. Yep. Being adopted, sexually molested, not being deaf and thrown into a deaf school. So she had to learn sign language because her adopted parents decided to put her in a school for deaf people. And she had 4 kids by the time she was 24, trying to figure life out, trying to figure it out.
It's a full plate for anybody.
It's a full plate.
It's a full plate.
And so you and I were thick as thieves as kids, walking to the store with our little food stamps to buy penny candy.
Yeah, that we were.
All right. So I went through my suicide attempt. I came out. Do you feel like that changed the family structure, family unit at all?
I mean, I don't think it changed it at the time. I think because like we looked at it as you were just lashing out. We've never experienced that, so it was something new, and we didn't know how to handle it or what to make of it. You know, and there was signs that I look back now that you were crying out for help. You know, that if somebody taught me then, we might have been able to help you stop that attempt.
It was rough, but thank God, God had other plans. And so I was transferred. Honestly, when I tell my story, I have no idea how long I was in a mental institution. I don't know how long I was gone. I don't know how much school I missed. So could be weeks, it could be months. I have no idea. But life went on, as dysfunctional as ever. And really 2007, our sister Katie was also, well, showing signs.
Yeah.
But again, we didn't recognize those signs. And so now with hindsight being in your corner, I just want to share with our guests, because when people are going through their mental health battles, and it's a struggle, they don't know what to look for in themselves, and they don't know what to look for in their loved ones. So looking back now at Katie's story specifically, what kind of red flags do you feel that you picked up?
Oh man, I mean, I can't specifically say one, but I mean, there'd be times, I mean, she'd go to bars and get in fights with guys, and I mean, beat the shit out of guys, you know? And I think she had so much pain built up that, you know, she liked violence, and she was a tough girl. You know, she was probably the toughest girl I ever knew.
Actually,
you know?
We were talking with your wife the other day, and we were both sharing a story about how our crazy sister, who was a soldier in the Army, was handcuffed and pepper sprayed. And after that incident, what did she do?
She wanted to do it. She said, I'll do this again.
She volunteered. I want to show these guys
how it's supposed to be done. Yeah. She was a tough girl.
There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of things. But one thing that you said that many people overlook is when your parents are, for all intents and purposes, douchebags, but they're doing their best, we don't stop to look at what kind of life did they have. And the stories that we call stories, and the limiting beliefs creep up, and our parents, they don't know any better. They weren't trained on personal development. They weren't taught mental health awareness. They weren't taught what to do. So this is why we educate people. We speak out with real stories to show signs of, hey, if this is happening, this could be a potential red flag, you know. And in what you said about me is acting out. You know, when you find someone who maybe they don't normally use drugs and they start to use drugs, or sneaking out, skipping out, pulling back on, those are all really good reasons to take a step closer and say, hey, are you okay? I want you to walk me through your side of the first tragedy, sharing as much or as little as you're willing to, and let people feel what you're willing to share.
Well, I remember like it was yesterday. I was at the movies. The new Rambo movie came out, and I had my phone on vibrate. And the thing, I was at the movies with a girl on a date, and my phone keeps blowing up, and I'm like, man, who is calling me? And it was my cousin Keith. I think he ended up calling me 68 times before I finally answered the phone. And you know, when I answered the phone, he says to me, your sister's dead. And I said, what are you talking about? like, Katie just killed herself. And I didn't believe it. And I went into a rage. You know, I was smashing things and didn't want to believe it. And I was in a fog state of mind for a while, you know, because it just felt like it wasn't real. Growing up as kids, her and I were so close. I mean, we were so close that mom and dad grounded us and they made us twins. We had to stay by each other's side. So, I mean, growing up, that brought us really close. So, you know, when I heard the news, it's life-changing. If we saw the signs, it could have been prevented. You know, and it's after the fact when you realize that, hey, you know what? I should have picked up on that. You know, I've had days and years and months and so much time just asking myself, why? Like, and I'll never have the answer. And that's the question that goes through my mind, because my life has changed so much from that day. And all I want is, like, for my sister to be part of that. Mm-hmm. She can't.
I told you on the phone last night that suicide is a permanent decision to a temporary problem. And there's a lot of temporary problems that pile on. And it just turns into a shitstorm. And we'll never know really what someone is thinking or feeling when it's their last moment. But like you said, in my case and in Katie's, when we look back, and for her in particular, she would call me and say, oh, I'm on this live journal website, you've got to get on. And I was so busy in the corporate world, and I was pregnant with my first daughter, and I had so many things. I was like, I don't have time for this. And I would brush it off. And finally, just to shut her up, I created this live journal account. I never, ever, ever, ever looked at it. And the night that she died, and she sent me a text message, and it said, I will always love you. Just know that. That is the moment I knew for a fact something was very wrong. And the first thing I did was run home to my computer and check that journal. And I saw every single journal entry of her crying out for help. And I said, Kim, you piece of shit. If you'd given her the time of day, and if you had looked at this journal, maybe you could have done something. So when we look at other episodes of her clubbing and her drinking so much and her not being the responsible person that she was, those were red flags. So you lived in Florida, I lived in Boston, she lived in Tennessee. What can be done in those situations where you want to reach out for help, but there's distance between you?
Oh man, I think all it takes is 5 minutes sometimes. You know, I know the world we live in today is it's like a rat race. Everything is so fast, you know, and it's just wake up, do the same thing. But there's some person out there that's not doing the same thing. They're doing something different. And it might be crying out for help, you know, and Katie was, you know, and it wasn't something that she was crying out for a week, a day. It was a while, you know, and now after the fact, you know, and it's always after the fact that we see these things. You know, we can't go back and change time. We can't erase that. You know, we have to move forward with her choice, because that was her choice. But if we took the time, 5 minutes out of your busy corporate life day, just to read what she was writing and been like, hey, are you all right? You know, there could have been something done.
It's never anyone's fault per se, but like what you're saying right now is what we teach, is what I teach, is that you don't have to be a PhD to reach out and ask someone if they're okay. And you certainly don't have to wait till it gets to this point to say, holy shit, I need to slow down and call my brother and say, hey man, what's up? How's your day? How you doing? You need to get shit off your chest or what? We went through, and I'm bringing this up for a specific reason, we went through the funeral process. How did that feel?
I mean, I don't remember a thing of that day. I mean, it was numb, absolutely numb. I remember standing there I was holding on to Katie's casket, and everybody's like, we got to go now. Everyone's in the car, the church is empty, and I'm just standing there by the casket. Like, I'm not leaving without my sister. And everybody had to grab me, and they're like, Frankie, we got to go. And it's just like, growing up as kids, I mean, she's always been there. And then one day, just to say she's gone, it's it's tough. I tried to speak at the funeral for her, and I was lost for words. You know, the military was there, and they played taps, and they gave Mom a flag, and I've never seen Mom crushed, you know, like that. And I mean, I have a daughter now, so, you know, I can't understand the pain. I mean, but it could be prevented. You know, she could be here today.
Well, I know that through conversations like this and by doing what we do, we have used our tragedy and saved many other lives because of it. And I ask you that because at Katie's Mission, we offer what's called wraparound services for those who don't know. And a piece of our budget goes towards the prevention. If you're going through a hard time, if you know someone who's going through a hard time, we can offer you a scholarship for coaching to help you realize you are bigger and better than the challenges that you face. And we can't do that without your donations. So if it's in your heart, katiesmission.org. And my brother and I here, we sat around the funeral home table in Fort Pierce, Florida, while everyone looked at each other wondering, how in the hell are we going to pay for this? The other piece of our budget goes directly to the funeral homes. And we decided that if and when a suicide should occur, we don't want the families burdened with the financial piece at that time. Because like you just heard from my brother, you were lost. You are shocked. You're literally clinging to the casket to try to bring your loved one through the rest of your life with you. You don't need to worry about how to pay for it, how to pay for your goodbye. So life never quite went on the same, but it went on nonetheless. And so Mom went on to have multiple suicidal attempts after Katie passed. Do you remember those? And what were your thoughts when we got phone calls from the hospital?
I was angry. I had a lot of anger built up because when Katie did it, you know, she promised me, she's like, I'll never put you guys through this type of pain again. She knew we struggled with it. When Katie killed herself, you know, I had a hard time. You know, I was using drugs, and all I remember Mom thinking was, she's like, oh, I'm going to lose my son now, just because I was out of control. I mean, I didn't care about nothing. I mean, I'd go out and party every night, 7 days a week, just because it took the pain away.
I remember when we got not one, but 2 phone calls from the same hospital saying, your mom's in the intensive care unit. We don't know that she's going to make it. If she does, she's going to be a vegetable. And I remember at that moment thinking, what can I do? You get to a point where you feel so defeated and like, what, even though your life is ahead of you, what do you have to live for without the people who've been by your side literally since the day they were born, or maybe the day you were born? You feel defeated. I want to be respectful to your wife, my sister-in-law, but life went on for both of us. And Rebecca, my sister-in-law, she wasn't quite in the picture yet. But life changed drastically for both you and I. You started to change your tragedy and really build a successful empire. So I'm going to bring you back to you personally for a minute and then pull the story full circle. But what is it that you do in your day-to-day? How do you pass the time? And I remember the moments that you were raging and doing drugs, and I was scared. You know, you weren't my son, but as the oldest child, I always had that very mothering, very nurturing, very controlling demeanor. And you guys were all intents and purposes like mine. And so I was scared, and there wasn't anything I can do, but you turned it around. I was able to step out of a very abusive, narcissistic marriage, relocated to Florida, and you had just gotten married. And I was now pregnant with my second daughter. And that was supposed to be a happy time in our lives. We were in a new chapter, and Christmas Day came. Do you remember anything about that day that was strikingly odd?
Looking back now, I don't know.
That was one of the first times that Mom was sober. And every single gift that she brought was 100% sentimental. There was thought into everything. And it was a great day. We had a great day. And then
she got you the blanket that said daughter.
It was embroidered with a palm.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later.
So let me back up a little bit. Because there's, you know, I got a lot of memories of Mom. And, you know, she left a suicide note that the cops kind of hid from us, I would say. They didn't say, hey, your mom left you guys a note. You know, we had to do detective work and find out, hey, was there any note? And then her sister tried to say it was an old note. And, you know, one thing about Mom was she always had the best penmanship. Since I was a kid, I'm like, Mom, you write so pretty. I think it's because she was left-handed. And the cops gave me a copy of the suicide note that she had left probably about 4 days later. And she had everybody's name on it. And then there was a sentence next to everybody. You know, Mom and I had some rough times. You know, I gave her tough love because, you know, she did a lot of dumb things that I thought was dumb, but I was a child. And, you know, she wrote on a note, Frankie, why are you so mean to your mom? Now, a lot of people would be like, that's the last thing my mom said about me. But I remember when I got married, she actually says to me, and she pulled me aside and she goes, Frankie, I'm so proud of the man you became. And it crushed me. And that's what's in my mind of Mom, not what she wrote on a piece of paper. Because that piece of paper, the top of it started with nice, clean penmanship. And then the bottom of it, at the end of the note, was, I wouldn't even call it chicken scratch because I couldn't even make out a letter. But you could definitely see that her mind and her body were definitely going through some experience, because for her to even not even be able to write, and I mean, it's just looking at this letter, you know, seeing it firsthand is, you know, I still have the note and I look at it once a year, and it's just back to the question, why?
So you've been through some ish, and that's really, you know, big sister attempted suicide, little sister died by suicide, Mom, multiple attempts and died by suicide. And you really into all the people we know who have killed themselves.
Yeah.
That's why we speak out, and that's why we educate. So I'm happy that you are willing to share. You have a great life. You're very happily married to an awesome woman. You guys have a little baby girl, my niece. And so at this point, from your heart, from your point of view, if there's someone watching and they are struggling, what would you want to say to that person?
You don't have to be afraid to ask for help. I mean, somebody will always listen. There's always somebody there. There's an avenue. You know, whether you feel that it's the right person to tell or not. I mean, if you got pain, then just, you know, if you feel it, say it. You know, and sometimes, you know, I know with men, it could be a pride thing.
I'm glad you brought that up, because we have a monthly show with Joe. It's called Guy Talk. And it's a monthly show here on Katie's Mission, and we bring you conversations from just men, and it's all about mental health from the male perspective. And knowing that as a wife, as a mom, as a everything, we don't have to put the burden of the world, the weight of the world on our men and make you feel like you're part of the stigma, like you can't express yourself, or I can look at your arms and be like, dude, obviously you're expressing yourself, you're tatted up.
Well, and that's how I dealt with my pain. I got off the drugs, and I made other choices to handle my pain.
Are you willing to share what you shared on the phone about what you thought when I first started Katie's Mission?
Yeah, absolutely. When you called me and told me what you're doing, I didn't believe what you were doing was for real. I was like, you're making something out of this, and it's not, what it's supposed to be. I thought it was kind of like not a joke, but it was kind of something you needed to just get off your chest. I doubted you. I can tell you that. I doubted you. I've made some donations over the last, year and a half?
Well, we're going to go back to that, because your first donation you made to me for another nonprofit had nothing to do with us. It was a very nice donation. So you believed in the mission.
I believed in it.
Yeah. So now
I do.
Everybody knows that we provide coaching, we provide funeral assistance, and you very recently, this past month, you made a very healthy donation. And I called you and I said, I really want you to understand the scope of your donation. I can't confidentially, I can't share the person's name, but do you remember what your donation was for?
Yeah, I remember. And you know what? It's not like you even asked me for the donation or nothing. I was laying in bed. I don't know, it was like 10:30 at night. And something just came across me. I'm like, you know what? I got to send a donation. And I did. And I guess it helped the boy out. He called me the next day. And he said that my donation just saved a boy's life.
It's very touching. And
because it's now that boy can be here longer to live his life like he's supposed to. There's no need to cut it short. And it's just, I had the money to donate, and I did. And I felt a lot better knowing that I seen a result. I seen it firsthand. It's touching, to know that I was in a position to help a kid save his life.
And there's a ripple effect.
Yeah, because now his parents, he's got a whole life ahead of him. Mm-hmm. He's going to have a kid and get married and experience things that life brings. And now that he's getting help, he'll be around to do all those type of things.
I just pictured you as that 11-year-old boy playing baseball when that donation came through, and I knew who the scholarship was going to. I was like, damn, he just saved himself. It's amazing how life happens. So we've touched a lot of people, and it's because of you. It's because of you sharing your story. It's because of your donation. It's because of, showing up every day and doing the best you can for you, for your daughter, for your wife, and being the best person that you can be today. And that's really what we preach is, reach out and ask someone, how are you doing? Are you okay? And you don't have to be a PhD to ask that question. We want you to know that Katie's Mission exists so that, like I said, when you need a coaching scholarship, we've got you. If and when a suicide does occur and it's daily, we're able to help that family with that financial burden. And we've been through more pain, in some aspects, you more than me. And you've been able to make what I say your mess and turn it into your message. And that's very powerful.
And it's been messy, that's for sure. And I don't know. You know, we learn from it, I guess. And it's just, I'm glad that I see you doing something positive with it. You know, you took our negatives, you know, and you're touching other people's lives and changing and saving lives. You know, and it's a wonderful thing.
I remember what it feels like, and I hope we can help prevent other brothers and sisters and children not ever get the phone calls that we got, because that sucks.
Yeah, those are hard phone calls to deal with, because it's not like a day phone call that you're dealing with it. It's a lifetime that you're going to deal with it.
You know, you brought up a good point, because not only that, would you readily admit that you have PTSD?
No.
If you were to expect a phone call right now, if I'm like, call me right now, what's the first thing that you would think? Something's wrong.
Right. Something's
wrong. So now you're programmed that there's this level of PTSD. It's like, damn, we need to
educate. Yeah.
All right, I've kept you a little bit longer than I promised you. Is there anything that I forgot?
You're the boss.
I am. Thank you for acknowledging that. Give my brother some love, you guys. This was awesome. This was really cool for you to share and be vulnerable. And like I said, you know, our sister passed in 2008, and this is literally the very first time that he's speaking out, aside from a private room or a white padded room or a car conversation somewhere. I wanted you to really fully understand the level of pain, the level of trauma, the level of awareness and education that this man has been through, and to turn it around and be able to know that you miss your sister, know that you miss your mom, but still really pour into your wife's life and your daughter's life to give them the best quality life on a daily basis. We know that you do that. And it's really cool to see, because we both could have gone in a very, very different direction.
You know, a lot of people talk to me and they're like, Frankie, we don't like, you know, I got some friends that are doctors and stuff, and they're like, for the cards you were dealt in your life, like, you should not be where you're at statistically. They're like, it's unheard of. You know, and I think that, you know, I did what you did. We took the negative and we turned it around into a positive. And, you know, I think it's wonderful that you're trying to help other people and stop the pain and stop the hurt. You know, something so simple that, you know, hey, go read my diary.
Yeah.
That's all I want you to do. Just read my diary. You know, and it's 5 minutes a day. And then you would have said, hey, you know what? Wow, something's not right. And it's always after the fact that we say, we should have. Oh, I could have done this. I should have done that. But it's too late. So it is preventable.
Thank you for helping us save a child's life. And like,
I mean, that's going to be with me for the rest of my life. You know? It's powerful.
It's powerful. So you guys, this is it, man. What you see is what you get. This is real, true story. May is still Mental Health Awareness Month. We're going strong. We're having these conversations. Thank you, Frankie, for speaking out for the first time. We are stigma stompers, and you know, make your tax deductible donation at katiesmission.org. As you know, we are 100% volunteers here at this point. I hope it doesn't stay that way, but we're just not at that level yet. We're not at that level in the game, but we're doing the right thing. And that's what really needs to be led by, is impacting and saving lives. So katiesmission.org. Any last words from you, bro?
No, I appreciate you having me on.
All right. Peace out, you guys. Thank you so much.